When I was 5. My mother brought me, a child born with a stutter, into the wealthy Chen family through marriage. Everyone said my mother was a bewitching seductress, skilled in charming men. They said it wouldn't be long before we'd be devoured so thoroughly there'd be nothing left of us but B1 shards. On the day of the wedding, the hall was packed with guests. In the small room, the young ladies who had come to watch the ceremony held me by the throat and mocked me as a mute burden. No one believed my stepfather would stand up for me. But the next day, my stepfather declared, Xin Jiayan is my youngest daughter. She is not a mute. And she is also one of the heirs of the Xin family. You're a mute? Chen Huaijin asked. I'm not mute. I just stutter. When other children in other families were already able to say complete sentences, I still could only make single syllables. My mother realized something was wrong and took me to the hospital. The doctor said it was, first, a matter of genetics, and second, because I was born premature. Most cases of stuttering can gradually improve under the intervention of a speech therapist. But mine did not. It grew worse by the day. Until now, when I don't even want to force out single words. I don't want to speak. I hate the way people look at me when I do. I wasn't berately refusing to speak to anyone. I knew I should say something today, but I just couldn't get the words out. The more I thought about it, the more anxious I became, and tears started pouring down my face. Mom hastily pulled me into her arms, kissed my forehead, and soothed me gently. Bah, don't cry. Huaijin was just joking. Our little Jejia isn't me. Tash's just too flustered to speak right now. My stepfather's expression turned stern as he looked at Chen Huaijin. Is that any way to speak to your little sister? Apologize. Chen Huaijin hadn't expected a single sentence to make me cry like this. He froze, his handsome face taking on a foolish, flustered look. His biological younger sister, Chen Wuyu, cast him a gleeful, almost schadenfreude-filled glance. He opened his mouth, and the sound that came out was no louder than a mosquito's hum. I'm sorry. I was wrong. His stepfather was dissatisfied. Speak louder. His mother didn't want things to turn too stiff on the very first day she married in. So she patted his stepfather's arm. All right. Baby heard your brother's apology. Didn't you? I rubbed my eyes and nodded hard. That evening, my stepfather and mother still had many clients and guests to entertain. So my stepfather had my sister, Chen Weiyu, keep me company. She was 7 or 8 years older than I was, wearing a pink and yellow princess dress, with a tiny pearl crown on her head. Her skin as fair as snow. I had never seen a prettier older girl than her. She took out the toys and gently, patiently showed me how to play with them, knowing I was a stutterer. She didn't say much. After a while, she answered a phone call and walked to the farthest window to take it. Ever since I was little, my hearing and eyesight had been unusually sharp. I could hear sounds from far away and make out the veins of leaves in the distance. Only Mom knew about this. Chen Wuyu didn't know, or she wouldn't have answered that call in the room. The caller was her maternal aunt. She and Chen Huaijin's mother had both died of cancer. And over the years, their relationship with their aunt had remained quite good. Xiao Yu. How is that woman? Did she give you the cold shoulder? With that flirtatious, seductive look of hers. I can tell she's no good. She's got your father completely bewitched. And you've only known each other for a few months and they're already talking about getting married. A divorced woman with a child can still have that kind of skill. I really can't feel at ease about you and Huaijin. She's no good. And neither is her daughter. You and Huaijin mustn't let yourselves be won over by them. Chen Weiyu had her back to me, so I couldn't see what expression she wore. I only heard her hum twice in response. Then ask about how why her aunt's affairs overseas had been. And when she would be able to come back, if it weren't for work holding me back. I should have shown up today to back you all up. Alas. What happened today? Chin Weiyu hesitated for a moment. Then told her aunt about what had just happened. At the other end of the phone, Auntie let out a cold laugh. Those mother and daughter are trying to give you a warning shot. On their very first day in the door. They've already forced the Chin family heir to apologize to them. If they go on to bear your father a son, then who exactly gets to call the shots in this family? Once there's a stepmother, there's a stepfather too. That saying is true. Xiao Yu. You should remind your brother as well. He needs to be on guard against that mother and daughter. My brother and I will be careful. Chin Weiyu said. Mom would never have a second child anyway. I muttered silently to myself. That was something she and my stepfather had agreed on. I had heard it before the wedding. Chin Weiyu hung up the phone and returned to my side. The look she gave me was no longer the same gentle one as before. With a soft sigh, she said, Jia. You stay here and play. I'm going to change. I nodded, knowing she was going to find Chen Huaijin. It was only a few minutes before the door was shoved open with one hand, and 3 young ladies about Chin Weiyu's age came in, all wearing beautiful, ornate little dresses. Where's Chin Weiyu? Didn't they say she was here? The newcomer glanced around but didn't see Chin Weiyu. Instead, he spotted me, playing with a toy. Who's this kid? Hey. Where's Chin Weiyu? Do you know? I was sitting on the sofa as the 3 of them walked over and looked down at me from above. I pressed my lips together, shook my head, then lifted a finger and pointed in the direction Chin Weiyu had just left. Why aren't you saying anything? Whose child are you? Why are you alone in a room? One of the girls asked me, her face full of curiosity. This is the master's room. What's your relationship with Chin Weiyu? Hey. The dress she's wearing looks a lot like Chin Weiyu's. It must be from the same haute couture collection. I heard Chin Weiyu's stepmother remarried with a daughter in tow. Could it be you? As soon as the 3 of them said that, they covered their mouths and laughed, as if it were some huge joke. Their laughter made me uncomfortable. I put down the toy, jumped off the sofa, and was about to go out to look for Mom. Hey, don't go. You little freeloader. They grabbed the back of my collar and yanked me back. They hadn't controlled their strength well. The collar suddenly tightened, and my eyes rolled back. A muffled cry escaped my throat uncontrollably. The moment Chin Weiyu came in, she saw me with my neck caught in their grip. She was startled and hurried over at once, snatching me into her arms. Jia. Are you okay? The 3 girls were also startled. They immediately explained. We didn't mean it. I coughed twice, patted Chin Weiyu's hand, and told her I was fine, seeing the physiological tears forced out of my eyes. Chin Weiyu was furious. You came to our home as guests and made my little sister cry. Just what exactly are you here for? We already said it wasn't on purpose. Why are you shouting? The girl said unhappily. So she really is your little sister. Why hasn't she made a peep? She wouldn't happen to be mute, would she? I could tell right away that these 3 didn't get along with Chin Weiyu very well. Chin Weiyu glared at them. What does this have to do with you? You don't understand the slightest bit of manners. Get out of my room. After all that commotion, how could a normal child not make a single sound? The 3 of them looked at me with strange expressions and burst into laughter. Chin Weiyu, you're truly miserable. Not only did your dad marry you a stepmother, he even brought back a disabled little sister for you. How ridiculous. In circles like ours, there aren't many children who are Disabled. Are there, Chin Wu? Weren't you usually so arrogant at school? Let's see how high and mighty you can stay now. Chin Wu held me in his arms and took a deep breath. Is this what you call good upbringing? Leaving aside whether my little sister is disabled. Even if she is. Who taught you to look down on disabled people? There are surveillance cameras in this room. I'll have the butler download all the footage and send it to your parents to watch. Remember to come to my house later and apologize to my sister. The next day, the parents from all three families brought their daughters to the Shin residence to apologize to me. My stepfather had me sit beside him. His expression solemn and grave. He looked at the three families forcing awkward smiles and cleared his throat before speaking. Shin Jiayan is my youngest daughter. Whether she speaks or not, she will always have a share of the Shin family's stock. Everyone was taken aback. The mother beside him even grabbed my stepfather's hand. And through the astonishment in her eyes, I realized that my stepfather hadn't discussed this with her beforehand at all. Darling. My stepfather gave her a reassuring nod. The children's expressions were even more straightforward and easy to read. The three girls looked at me in shock, then turned to glance at the Chin siblings standing behind us, their faces full of mockery. I also turned back to look at them. The two children looked at me with complicated expressions, and I pretended nothing had happened and withdrew my head. My stepfather glanced coolly at the two children, then addressed the adults who had come with them. Please teach your own children properly. With such manners, I wouldn't dare let the future heirs of the Chin family have any contact with them. The three parents were terrified and kept holding their children down, forcing them to apologize to me. I didn't want them staying there to keep provoking the Chin siblings. And I also knew all such apologies were only made under pressure, not from the heart. So I looked up at my stepfather, rubbed my little belly, and said, "Baby is hungry." The visitor and the Chin siblings were stunned again. They probably thought I really was mute. My stepfather finally added one last line. Chin Jiayan will accompany his older brother and sister to Huainan to study. And I hope Jiayan's school life will be pleasant and peaceful. See them out. Huainan Noble Academy was renowned far and wide. It was the cradle of heirs in City D. Every student who graduated from there was, without exception, an elite in their respective field. Because of the bullying I had experienced in kindergarten, I didn't want to go to kindergarten anymore. I climbed into the car in a sullen mood, only to find that my stepfather had used the power of money to get me into first grade. At the entrance to the classroom, my mom kissed my little cheek. Go on. Don't be scared. Your dad and I will always be right behind you. When the homeroom teacher introduced me, she made a point of saying that Chin Jiayan didn't really like to talk, and arranged for me to sit at the same desk as the class monitor. The class monitor was a girl with short hair and big eyes. Curiously, she held out her hand to me. Hello. My name is Ning Shanshan. I shook her hand and flashed a sweet smile. The teachers of every subject knew about my special situation, so during class roll call they would basically never call my name outside of class, because they weren't familiar with me. No classmates really came near me either, and so the first week of school passed quietly. No one knew that I was a stutterer. She's really so quiet she can go an entire day without saying a single word. Come to think of it, have you ever heard her speak? I haven't. But the class monitor has talked to her. The only thing I ever said to Ning Shanshan was thank you, because the elementary school dismissal time was different from the middle schools. I rarely rode home in the same car as the Chin siblings. Today, the two of them had actually come to the elementary division to pick me up. I didn't know they were such prominent figures in Huainan, but from the reactions of the classmates around me, I could tell they were extremely popular. So Senior Chin and Senior Sister Chin are your brother and sister? Jiayan. Why didn't you say so earlier? I heard that this year they're still first in their grade. And senior sister Chen is even going to represent Huainan in an international violin competition. I really want their autographs. Jiayan. Could you help me? The campus heartthrob and beauty of Huainan. No wonder Jiayan looks so good. I look exactly like my mother. And that is the thing I am most proud of. From that day on, I became popular. Every classmate came to me asking about Shen Huijin and Shen Weiyu, even if they questioned me for ages. I would only give 1 or 2 words in reply. And none of them thought I was being rude. Instead, they thought I was aloof. And that the Shen family ought to be this way. Ning Shanshan helped me fend them off, bringing out the authority of a class monitor and telling them not to disturb my rest and study. My secret stutter was thus kept hidden. It wasn't that I meant to hide it deliberately. I just didn't want them to put on another set of prejudices against me because of it. At the summer gala, the homeroom teacher asked whether I was interested in going up on stage to perform. I hurriedly shook my head. The homeroom teacher was astonished. Your older brother and sister are both very enthusiastic about taking part in social events. I thought you would like it too. At Huainan's various galas, many media outlets come to visit. And there are even directors from the Film and Arts Academy. Quite a few promising young talents in the entertainment industry came out of Huainan. So the competition for a spot at the gala is extremely fierce. I kept shaking my head. Maybe they thought I was the little princess the Chen family had raised since childhood. But I wasn't. I had no special talents. And I couldn't perform on stage. As I left the office, Ning Shanshan suddenly appeared beside me. Jiayan. Could you help me? I want to perform on stage. I can play the piano. I looked straight at her and said nothing. Jiayan. Listen to me. I know you have a speech impediment. You're not aloof and silent, you just don't want people laughing at your stutter. As long as you recommend me to the homeroom teacher, whether it works or not, I swear I'll keep your secret for you from now on. Okay. A wave of dejection washed over me all at once. I pressed my lips tightly together, not knowing when I had ever given myself away. I worried at the hem of my clothes and thought it over. Then nodded at Ning Shanshan and turned to go find the homeroom teacher. Tay teacher. I recommend Ning S. Hans Han. The moment I finished speaking, my face was already burning red. The homeroom teacher knew my situation and gently patted my head. Jiayan is a good child. And your voice is so lovely. Would you come talk to the teacher more often in the future? I stood frozen in place, my face burning red. Shanshan had already recommended herself to me before. And now with your recommendation too. The teacher will think it over carefully. Jiayan. Go back and get ready for class. Ning Shanshan waited for me on the way back to the classroom, looking at me expectantly. Jiayan. How did it go? What did the teacher say? She already knew I stuttered, so there was nothing to hide. The teacher said they'd consider it. I kept my head down and didn't see the flicker of contempt that flashed across Ning Shanshan's eyes. She jumped up happily. Thank you, Jiayan. I hereby declare that you're my best friend in Huainan. I have friends too. The words stirred a small, quiet joy in my heart. Ning Shanshan got to take part in the performance as she wished. And she kept her promise by staying at my side like a guard, no matter which classmate it was. As long as they spoke to me a few more times, she would drive them away with just a few words. Before long, I was left with only her by my side. And all my classmates would deter around me as soon as they saw me. On several occasions, she said that something had come up at home and her parents couldn't come to pick her up, and asked if my family's driver could give her a ride. I thought the driver uncle probably wouldn't mind such a small thing. So I agreed. I had never considered what these conveniences might bring Ning Shanshan. Until one day. Chen Huijin and Chen Weiyu appeared at the entrance of our classroom with cold expressions. Who's been going around SA? Ing, my sister is a rich fool who's easy to fool. Ning Shanshan's hand, which had been reaching into my pocket to take the chocolate, froze. And she turned back to look at them in panic. Chen Huijin and Chen Weiyu took me to the homeroom teacher's office. I stayed in the outer room while they went inside to talk with the teacher. Jiayan is young and rather innocent. We hope the teacher can look after her more. Instead of letting her be used like this without knowing anything. Jiayan has a knot in her heart and doesn't like to speak. But that's not a reason for her to be isolated and subjected to rumors. The homeroom teacher bent his temples and sighed softly. I've always encouraged Jiayan to talk more with the classmates in front of and behind her. I even changed her seat several times for that reason. But unfortunately, she just doesn't like to speak. Changing seats. Jiayan didn't agree. Jiayan's academic performance is very good. She's a very smart child. She has a strong sense of her own will. And if she doesn't want to change, it's very hard for outside influences to change her. Chen Huijin. We'll talk to Jiayan about this. And that Ning Shanshan teacher. You need to keep an eye on her. Chen Weiyu. The Ning family has already been using the power of the Chen family to do things outside. The homeroom teacher of Huainan Noble Academy was naturally no incompetent fool. She nodded solemnly, not wanting to lose her job over this matter. Chen Weiyu took my hand and led me home. I looked up at her. And only after a long while did I speak. Does everyone know that I stutter? The two of them squatted down and asked me. Is Jiayan sad? I nodded, knowing that Ning Shanshan had gone around saying it behind my back. At school, I had no contact with anyone except her. She said I was her best friend. She lied to me, with a forceful lift. Shen Huijin scooped me into his arms. Jiayan, you need to understand one thing. You are a young lady of the Shen family, whether you stutter or are mute. You will always be someone they can only look up to in this life. It is only for them to beg to be your friend. There is no reason for you to accommodate them. I didn't understand this. Because my stutter caused my parents to divorce. And my mother was driven out by my grandparents with me in tow. I felt that stuttering was an enormous, terrible thing. If I didn't stutter, my mother wouldn't have had to endure so many cold stares and grievances for my sake. So it was only right for others to mock me for stuttering. And only right for them not to be friends with me. Stuttering was something very, very bad. With just one word from you, Ning Shanshan could go perform on a big stage. You let her ride in your car. And she went around showing off. Others envied and resented her for it. Her parents even told everyone that she was the good best friend of the young lady of the Chen family. And because of that, business partners all gave her family a 3% concession. These little things. We all saw them. And we didn't care. But she never should have done. What she absolutely must not have done was slander you behind your back. She called you a little stutterer and a freeloader. She doesn't deserve to be your friend with that ingrate behavior. Chen Weiyu said. Ning Shanshan wrote a self-criticism and read it aloud 3 times in front of the homeroom teacher during class. Her face flushed bright red with shame. And by the third reading, she was even crying. The next day, he transferred schools and left Huainan. I no longer had a seatmate. And I felt terribly down when my stepfather and mom heard about it. They specially drove over in the afternoon to take our family out for a meal. It started raining when school was over. And I hadn't brought an umbrella. The teacher asked me to wait a moment while she went back to get one. A female classmate stepped forward. Teacher. I'm going the same way as her. I'll walk her home. She opened her umbrella. Let's go. What are you standing there for? You look ridiculous. It wasn't until we got close to the school gate and I saw my stepfather's car that I finally mustered the courage to say, "Thank you." She lifted her chin haughtily. "I'm not here to curry favor with you. Miss Chin, my family's business may not be as big as yours. But it's not bad either. Besides, your voice is quite pleasant. So what if you stutter? Why care so much about what other people think? Be brave." She was Yang Shi's daughter. Yang Qiannong, proud in manner and far too blunt in speech. She could be rather cutting. So she didn't have many friends. During dinner, my stepfather and mother kept serving food to each other, their affection overflowing. In the time since their marriage, the two of them had been practically inseparable. Anyone who saw them would say they envied the pair of Mandarin ducks rather than the immortals. Yet even amid all that tenderness, they took very good care of the three of us. And so the Chin siblings gradually began to let down their guard. "Is there anything you like to eat, baby?" Mom asked me. I lowered my head and concentrated on shoveling rice into my mouth. On the way here, my sister had said this restaurant was hard to get a reservation at. I hadn't expected it to be this delicious. My stepfather smiled. "Looks like you're very satisfied." After we'd eaten and drunk our fill, Mom asked me carefully whether I would be willing to accept a new speech therapist. I'm not unfamiliar with this profession, but the last speech therapist ended up treating me right into my father's bed. They were kissing in the room where I was supposed to be getting treatment, and it left me deeply scarred. It also indirectly led to my parents' divorce. After that, I no longer wanted to receive treatment from any speech therapist. But now, I looked up at my mother, whose face was full of happiness, at her stepfather standing behind her to protect her, and at my brother and sister staring at me with anticipation. After a pause, I said, "I'm willing to." Mom. Chin Weiyu said she would stay with me during treatment, and for that she would have to give up the time she spent on extracurricular studies. She said lightly, "I can learn those things anytime. I'll pick them up just by casually studying them." Chin Huaijin, as the heir, had more to learn than Chin Weiyu and carried a heavier burden. Yet every time he underwent treatment, he would still make time to come by and look at me from outside the window. Not to mention that after every session, my stepfather and mother would debrief the therapist about my condition. They knew better than in Yon about every bit of progress I made. My older brother and sister both had riding lessons, as well as their own ponies. Once, after watching them finish class, I looked on with eyes full of envy. Such handsome little ponies, I wanted one too. My stepfather wasted no time sending someone to England to buy it for me. But the riding instructor said I was too young. Children usually had to be 6 before they were old enough to learn horseback riding. I looked utterly disappointed. Mom coaxed me, saying, "How about this, baby? If you speak up more at school, Daddy and I will have the riding instructor take you for walks on a little pony." Okay. Chin Huaijin and Chin Weiyu chimed in from the side. Right. We can take the baby for walks too. It all depends on whether the baby likes it or not. Like it? How could I not like it? The next day, I gathered all my courage and walked up to Yang Qiannong's desk, while the classmates around us stared at me as if they'd seen a ghost. Yang Qiannong widened her eyes at me. "Chin Jiayan, what are you doing? You need something from me. After school. Let's go together." Yang Qiannong was even more shocked. Okay. The classmates beside him suddenly crowded in around him. "Chin Jiayan, you finally took the initiative to talk to someone. Your voice is really nice. Let's go home together after school too. Okay. These cookies were made by my mom herself. I'll give you one. Chin Jiayan. Can I borrow your homework to copy for a bit? I took the cookies. Thanks. Sorry. I can't give you my homework. Young Chin Nong yanked him aside. If I don't let you copy it, you're trying to trick Jiayan instead. Huh. Keep this up and see if I don't tell the teacher. Everyone was laughing and chatting, and my nervousness suddenly eased. It turned out that taking the initiative to talk to people wasn't nearly as hard as I had imagined. After school, my older brother and sister kept their promise and took me out riding on a little pony. My pony was snow white all over, and I named it Bai Shue. It had a gentle temperament and was very affectionate. Riding on the pony, the view was completely different from what I usually saw. After coming back from a round of wandering, I ran and threw myself into my mother's arms, my eyes sparkling as I said, "That was fun." Mom. Mother picked me up. If it's fun, then play every day. Our baby has made such great progress. First grade passed very smoothly. And when I moved up to SEC, on grade, I already had my own bathroom buddy and PE buddy in class. With the speech therapist's diligent intervention, my condition also improved greatly. And now I can speak 5 or 6 words without pausing. It's just that if I get eager and speak too fast, I still stutter. It was the SCO sports day. I had already made plans with my classmates to go try the new cake at the dessert shop after school. But at the school gate, I ran into the person I never wanted to see again in this lifetime, the middle-aged man, unshaven and haggard with exhaustion. Lit up when he saw me, he spread his arms wide. Jia, it's Dad. Dad finally found you. I went rigid all over, frozen to the spot. In an instant, his disdainful gaze and loathsome words flashed through my mind, along with the way he had stood behind my grandparents, turning a blind eye to the harm they had inflicted on my mother and me, later. For that woman. He had even laid hands on my mother and beaten and insulted her. Seeing that something was off with my reaction, my classmates grew alarmed. In a panic, young Chin Nong stepped directly in front of me and spread her arms to block him. Who are you? A kidnapper. This is Huainan Academy. Are you looking for death? The man frowned and, with a wave of his hand, shoved young Chin Nong aside. What nonsense are you spouting? Child. I'm Li Jiayan's father. I'm here to find my daughter. We don't have any Li Jiayan here. Go find the security guard. The quick-witted student immediately turned and ran back toward the school. Seeing this, the man scooped me up with both hands and turned to run toward the small van parked nearby. Put her down. Young Chin Nong got up from the ground and fearlessly rushed forward to smack the man. The other students swarmed over as well, some tugging at his clothes, others clutching his legs. The only timid girl among them burst into tears with a loud wail that shook the place. At that point, everything had descended completely into chaos. The street was hardly some deserted place, and soon adults began to gather around. The man was beside himself. He looked down at me and said, Li Jiayan, say something. Tell them I'm your dad. Say something. The children at Huainan Noble Academy were all either rich or powerful, and he didn't dare lay a heavy hand on them. I started trembling even harder. Back at his house, it had always been like this to shout at me whenever something displeased him, telling me to speak. The more he read me, the more I couldn't get a word out. Instead, my stutter only grew worse. Once, because I couldn't get a word out, he picked up the ashtray and hurled it at me. Fortunately, his aim was a little off, and after that I felt nothing toward him except fear and hatred. looking at the classmates who were struggling on my behalf. "I rai," said a trembling hand and slapped him. Then gritted my teeth and said, "You're not my father." The man froze, taking the chance. I slipped down and turned to run. But after only a couple of steps he caught me back and said, "You're not stuttering anymore. You're the one who stutters. Your whole family stutters." Young Chin-nung snapped. By the time all that commotion was over, the school security team had already arrived. The man took one look and turned to flee. The incident caused a huge uproar. The principal of Huainan Academy personally came to the Shin family to apologize. From then on, even the streets outside Huainan Academy were patrolled by security guards. That night, Shin Wuyu volunteered to sleep with me. My face flushed as I said, "Sister, I'm not scared." Who said Jejia was scared? It's sister who wants to sleep with Jia Jido's Jejia not welcome me. Shinwoo lowered her eyes and looked at me with evident disappointment. No. I'm very welcome. Mua Chinwoo gave me a fierce kiss. I covered my little face, briefly forgetting the fear the man had brought me a few hours earlier. Unsettled, Yun Qingqiu came to check on his two daughters' room in the middle of the night. Only after seeing them sleeping soundly did he turn and go back to his own room. Turning back, she saw the man who had just been sleeping soundly a moment ago, waiting for her with a gentle smile. Her eyes burned slightly with sudden warmth. This man was a ways like this. What had she ever done to deserve him? "Hubby, did I wake you?" Qinjin took hold of his wife's little hand. "How could that be? I was already worried about these two little cotton-padded jackets and was planning to get up and check on them. I just didn't expect you to wake up before I did. I'm very sorry about Li Liang." Yinqingqiu hadn't even finished speaking before she was cut off by Xinjin. "We're family. YSPE. AK as if we're strangers. Now that Jejia is my daughter, it's my duty to protect her well. Don't worry. I won't let Li Liang appear in front of her again." Yun Qingqiu rubbed the corner of her eye. "It's all my fault for choosing such a father for her. Her stutter is also inherited from the Li family. And I had such severe mood swings during pregnancy that she was born prematurely. It's not your fault. Honey, you're a victim too, and you've always done a great job. You've protected her very well. From now on, we'll work hard together. And Jejia will definitely get better. Li Liang must be short on MO. Nay. That's why he came looking for you at school. You can't give him any money. You have to teach him a lesson. I've already had my assistant look into it. We'll have the results tomorrow." The next day, Mom asked for me to be excused from school. I stayed by her side and watched as she handled the design drafts and fabrics. After marrying my stepfather, she took up her old trade again and resumed working as a tailor, watching those exquisitely patterned fabrics bloom beneath her hands. Mom's eyes were bright. So bright. In the past, Mom had made clothes too. Unfortunately, Grandfather smashed her sewing machine to pieces. And after that she never touched one again. Today, only Mom and I were at the villa. After playing for a while, I would always drift over to her side. Looking at me, she smiled and said, "Baby is being very clingy today." I felt shy. Mom Lu, KS so beautiful today. Yes. Yun Qingqiu was very beautiful. Back in college, she was the campus belle, with excellent grades and a pure, kind nature. Unfortunately, Li Liang had tricked her into his grasp early on, and she married him right after graduation. No one had expected Li Liang to be a beast in gentleman's clothing. Once he had her, he stopped cherishing her. He beat her, cheated on her, gambled and more. He even blamed everything on the fact that Yin Qingqiu had given birth to him a stuttering daughter. If it weren't for the stuttering daughter making him lose face, he never would have fallen so low. The Li family forced Yun Qingqiu to abandon their daughter and have a second child for Li Liang. But Yun Qingqiu refused. So they cut off her source of income. During that period, she got through it by working odd jobs while borrowing money on the side. It was the most withered time of her life. Yet no matter how hard things became, she protected me well. When the Li family had started to despise me, she had already proposed a divorce. But Li Liang demanded that she pay 500,000 yuan in one lump sum, or he would never give up custody of me. I didn't know how Mom managed to scrape together that 500,000 yuan. I only knew that she was my superhero. My hero. And that I would love her forever. Mom. I don't want him. You shouldn't go see him either. He'll hit you. Yun Qingqiu froze for a moment. She set down the fabric in her hands and picked me up. Baby, don't worry. Mom won't go see him alone. Dad will stay by Mom's side. Mom goes. And the baby goes too. I can protect Mom. Just as Mom once protected me. I ate a lot every day. The teacher said that if you eat a lot, you get strong. And I even slapped him once. Just that one act of resistance. And a surge of courage suddenly welled up from the depths of my heart. I felt that he was nothing more than that. I never expected that the person who once controlled my mother's and my fate like a god would now kneel before my stepfather. As humble as mud beneath the earth. Mother held me as we took our seats to the side. And the look in our eyes as we watched him was identically cold and merciless. Your parents' small company has been dragged down by you and has already filed for bankruptcy. It also owes a huge sum of money. No one is going to pay your gambling debts for you. The creditors have given you half a month. If you still can't pay it back by then, you'd better be careful. Only now have you remembered your long-separated ex-wife and daughter, who told you they had married and come to D City. After the divorce, my mother took me away from the city we used to live in. After coming to D City, we never got in touch with anyone from back there. So how did Li Liang find his way here and even to my school? Li Liang's gaze moved to Shen Huijin and Shen Weiyu standing behind us. Yun Qingqiu's heart gave a jolt, seeing him open his mouth as if to speak. She immediately cut in first. Honey, why do you care where he got the information? Anyway, as long as we've solved the problem, that's enough. Yun Qingqiu's breathing was a little uneven. Honey, the way he treated me and the baby before, there's no way I can ever forgive him. And now he's tried to snatch the baby away again. He's truly crossed my bottom line. No one present was foolish. They all saw the look Li Liang had just given. Shen Huijin stepped forward. What do you mean? Staring at my sister and me like that? Speak. Shen Weiyu was so furious her little face turned red. She glared at Li Liang. What did you mean by that look just now? Yun Qingqiu was on the verge of tears from anger. Li Liang, do you resent seeing me do well? The moment my life starts to get a little better, you come along to ruin it. Don't even think about driving a wedge between us. Li Liang looked at his mother and revealed a malicious smile. Her stepfather held her mother in his arms and said calmly, Li Liang, I'm afraid you don't quite understand the power of my Qin family here in D City. If what you say today isn't the truth, I can make you disappear without a trace. And no one will ever investigate this matter. And we are the closest family. Whatever it is, we can solve it slowly. Her mother gradually calmed down as well. You think doing this will make my life miserable? Then just keep your eyes wide open and see. At one glance from her stepfather, the security guards came up and dragged Li Liang away. Panicking, Li Liang shouted, I'll tell you. I'll tell you. It was a woman who came back from abroad. She looks very much like your two children. I overheard her on the phone. And she claimed to be their aunt. Aunt. Shen Weiyu widened his eyes. Chen Huijin also knit his brows tightly. His stepfather waved a hand, signaling for someone to take Li Liang away. Chen Huijin stepped up before his stepfather and said, "Dad, Auntie, let my sister and me handle this. We'll go ask Auntie and get things cleared up." The stepfather nodded. Mom, however, seemed a little uneasy. The baby wasn't hurt or anything. "Be careful what you say couldn't wound Auntie's heart." Chen Huijin. "Auntie, rest assured, we'll seek justice for the baby. If it really was Auntie, then she'll have to pay the price for this," Chen Weiyu said sadly. I stretched out my arms toward Chen Huijin. "Brother, hug me." Chen Huijin froze, raised with the teaching that boys and girls should not it together after the age of 7. He had always kept physical closeness between us to a minimum. He picked me up, and I turned around to kiss Chen Weiyu on the forehead. "Brother, sister, don't be sad." Chen Weiyu laughed. "So you're keeping things perfectly even-handed." Huh. I really didn't want to make them sad. 2 days later, Chen family's aunt came to apologize in person. She was an exceptionally beautiful, delicate woman, and seeing her made it easy to imagine what Chen Weiyu would look like in the future. She wanted to speak to my stepfather alone. I stayed upstairs with Mom, and when I saw the worried look on her face, I blinked and said, "Mom, I can hear what they're saying." Mom's eyes lit up. "Baby, tell Mom exactly what they say." Chen Zhen. "After all these years I refuse to believe you never knew how I felt. But in the end, you still had feelings for me. I'd have no complaints if I lost to any young lady from a wealthy family. But why did it have to be a divorced woman with a child? Besides being beautiful, what else does she have? It was I who found Li Liang. I wanted him to ruin your relationship. I was the one who strayed from the right path. I'm sorry for hurting that child. This is my compensation to Hera transfer contract for a small island. From now on, I'll be living abroad for the long term. But I will keep an eye on the 2 children's affairs. I'm very sorry, brother-in-law," my stepfather said. "She's very good, a remarkably gentle, kind, and even selfless woman. Her appearance is only one of her strengths. She has never coveted anything of mine. Having her is my good fortune." After hanging a few pleasantries, Auntie Chen from the Chen family left, looking at my mother's bashful, sweet expression. I smiled softly. As long as Mother was happy, that was all that mattered. After the matter was resolved and I returned to school, many people came to ask me whether I was the CHN family's biological child. And many of the looks they gave me changed as well. I took a deep breath and answered, word by word, "I'm not a biological child of the Chen family. I was brought into the family by my stepmother. But I'm not a burden. My dad, my brothers, and my sisters all love me. And I love them too, with my family's wholehearted support and love. I no longer felt anxious or afraid of how others saw me. I let go of the knot in my heart. And under the guidance of the speech therapist, my stutter gradually improved. I believe the life ahead will only grow even better."